Freddie Mercury personal life. Relationships. In the early 1970s, Mercury had a long-term relationship with Mary Austin, whom he met through guitarist Brian May. He lived with Austin for several years in West Kensington, London. By the mid-1970s, he had begun an affair with a male American record executive at Elektra Records, and in December 1976, Mercury told Austin of his sexuality, which ended their romantic relationship. Mercury moved out of the flat they shared, into 12 Stafford Terrace in Kensington and bought Austin a place of her own nearby. They remained close friends through the years, with Mercury often referring to her as his only true friend. In a 1985 interview, Mercury said of Austin, "All my lovers asked me why they couldn't replace Mary, Austin, but it's simply impossible. The only friend I've got is Mary, and I don't want anybody else. To me, she was my common-law wife. To me, it was a marriage. We believe in each other, that's enough for me." He also wrote several songs about Austin, the most notable of which is Love of My Life. Mercury's final home, Garden Lodge, 1 Logan Place, a 28-room Georgian mansion in Kensington set in a quarter-acre manicured garden surrounded by a high brick wall, had been picked out by Austin. Mercury was also the godfather of Austin's oldest son, Richard. During the early to mid-1980s, he was reportedly involved with Barbara Valentine, an Austrian actress, who is featured in the video for It's a Hard Life. However, in another article, Valentine was just a friend, and Mercury was really dating German restaurateur Winfried Kirchberger during this time. By 1985, he began another long-term relationship with Irish-born hairdresser Jim Hutton, 1949 to 2010. Hutton, who was tested HIV positive in 1990, lived with Mercury for the last 6 years of his life, nursed him during his illness, and was present at his bedside when he died. Hutton said Mercury died wearing the wedding band that Hutton had given him. In his will, Mercury left his London home to Austin, rather than Hutton, saying to her, "You would have been my wife, and it would have been yours anyway." Friendship with Kenny Everett. Radio DJ Kenny Everett first met Mercury in 1974 when he invited the singer onto his breakfast show in Capital London. As two of Britain's most flamboyant, outrageous, and popular entertainers, they shared much in common and instantly became close friends. Everett would play a major role in Queen's early success when, in 1975, armed with an advance copy of the single Bohemian Rhapsody, Mercury went to see Everett. While privately Everett doubted any station would play the song due to its length at over 6 minutes, he said nothing to Mercury and placed the song on the turntable, and, after hearing it, enthused, "Forget it, it's going to be #1 for centuries." While Capital Radio had not officially accepted the song, the anarchic Everett would talk incessantly about a record he had but could not play, before the song accidentally started playing, with Everett stating, "Oops, my finger must have slipped." Capital's switchboard was jammed with callers wanting to know when the song was going to be released. On one occasion Everett aired the song 36 times in one day. During the 1970s, their friendship became closer, with Everett becoming advisor and mentor to Mercury, and Mercury as Everett's confidant. Throughout the early to mid-1980s, they continued to explore their homosexuality, as well as experimenting in drugs, and although they were never lovers, they did experience London nightlife on a regular basis together. By 1985, they had fallen out over a disagreement on their using and sharing of drugs, and their friendship was further strained when Everett was outed in the autobiography of his ex-wife Lady Lee, with Mercury taking Lee's side. With both suffering from failing health, Mercury and Everett started talking again in 1989, and they were able to reconcile their differences. Sexual orientation. While some commentators claimed Mercury hid his sexual orientation from the public, others claimed he was openly gay. In December 1974, when asked directly, "So how about being bent?" by the New Musical Express, Mercury replied, "You're a crafty cow. Let's put it this way, there were times when I was young and green. It's a thing schoolboys go through. I've had my share of schoolboy pranks. I'm not going to elaborate further." Homosexual acts between adult males over the age of 21 had been decriminalized in the United Kingdom in 1967, only 7 years earlier. In the 1980s, he would often distance himself from his partner, Jim Hutton, during public events. During his career, Mercury's flamboyant stage performances sometimes led journalists to allude to his sexuality. Dave Dixon, Reviewing Queen's performance at Wembley Arena in 1984 for Kerrang, noted Mercury's camp addresses to the audience and even described him as a posing, pouting, posturing tart. In 1992, John Marshall of Gay Times opined, Mercury was a scene queen, not afraid to publicly express his gayness, but unwilling to analyze or justify his lifestyle. It was as if Freddie Mercury was saying to the world, I am what I am. So what? And that in itself for some was a statement. In an article for After Elton, Robert Urban stated, Mercury did not ally himself to political outness, or to LGBT causes. Some have claimed Mercury was bisexual. For example, in regard to the creation of Celebrate Bisexuality Day, Wendy Curry said, we were sitting around at one of the annual bi conventions, venting, and someone, I think it was Gigi, said we should have a party. We all love the great bisexual, Freddie Mercury. His birthday was in September, so why not Sept? We wanted a weekend day to ensure the most people would do something. Gigi's birthday was Sept 23rd. It fell on a weekend day, so, poof. We had a day. As well, the advocate stated, closeted throughout his life, Mercury, who was bisexual, engaged in affairs with men but referred to a woman he loved in his youth, Mary Austin, as the love of his life, according to the biography Somebody to Love, The Life, Death, and Legacy of Freddie Mercury. Personality. Although he cultivated a flamboyant stage personality, Mercury was shy and retiring when not performing, particularly around people he did not know well, and granted very few interviews. Mercury once said of himself, when I'm performing I'm an extrovert, yet inside I'm a completely different man. While on stage, Mercury basked in the love from his audience. Kurt Cobain's suicide note mentions how he admired and envied the way Mercury seemed to love, relish in the love and adoration from the crowd. In 1987, Mercury celebrated his 41st birthday at the Pikes Hotel, Ibiza, several months after discovering that he had contracted HIV. Mercury sought much comfort at the retreat and was a close friend of the owner, Anthony Pike, who described Mercury as the most beautiful person I've ever met in my life. So entertaining and generous. According to biographer Leslie Ann Jones, Mercury felt very much at home there. He played some tennis, lounged by the pool, and ventured out to the odd gay club or bar at night. The party, held on September 5, 1987, has been described as the most incredible example of excess the Mediterranean island had ever seen, and was attended by some 700 people. A cake in the shape of Gothi Sagrada Familia was provided for the party, although the original cake collapsed and was replaced with a 2-meter-long sponge cake with the notes from Mercury's song Barcelona. The bill, which included 232 broken glasses, was presented to Queen's manager, Jim Beach.